there, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us once again here on Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. We are all about education today, and we're going to talk about an effort to better prepare area youth for not only education, but career success in just a moment. But first, Rossford Schools just announced plans to not only construct a new $35 million middle school without a levy, but also to decrease one of the current levies that's on the books. I would read that to you again because it's not something that we typically hear in Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan. How are they doing it? What is the blueprint for this success? It was just 2014, 11 years ago, when the district decided to close Indian Hills Elementary School in a cost-saving move because attendance was low, the figures weren't working out. What a difference a decade makes. Dan Creps, Superintendent of Rossford Schools, and the Mayor of Rossford, Neil MacKinnon, two lifelong buds, I have to point out. You guys have known each other for a long time, both Rossford alums, but I really did want to bring you back on here, guys, because not only talking about from where we have come, even though you said we don't want to look back on those times, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. This $35 million school, which you guys are able to build without a taxpayer cent. Yes?
Right. Without asking for any new additional dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, a big part of that, as we spoke about last time we were in, has to deal with the mayor and his team of people just bringing great development into the school district boundaries. I think that has been the number one contributor to that success. Obviously, though, a lot of credit goes to our treasurer, Jamie Rossler, and his team. Through strong financial stewardship, all of the members of our district have been working extremely hard since then on a daily basis, and kind of the tenacity that it takes to make these types of changes occur.
Mayor Neil MacKinnon joining us as well. Mayor, is it just an opportunity that has always existed because of the land that's available? Is it going to pitch for Rossford time and time again, and finally this coming to fruition?
Yeah, we are blessed with great geography. I mean, we're at the intersection of I-75, which is the longest north-south highway in the country, and 80-90, which is the longest east-west highway in the country, and they intersect right there between our central business district and population and the crossroads and all the development that's taking place out there.
Yeah, and of course I remember the time when it was the amphitheater, the Adirondack Red Wings were going to go in there, and that never panned out. But now you drive through there and something's happening. Something's starting to bubble.
Yeah, a lot of our neighbors have chased residential where we've chased jobs in industry and investment. So with Dan and myself and the two teams that we have around us, I mean, that has been our focus, that's been our vision, and that's been our mission.
I talked about closing that school some 11 years ago when population wasn't there. You didn't have enough students in that school, and you didn't need for it. Right. You were new, coming out from, I believe you're in the Sylvania School District, coming from there.
Started in Sylvania,
Started in Sylvania. That's right, Woodland Elementary, you were principal out there. So then you made that transition over. All of a sudden, you're into this firestorm of financial issues. We don't have enough population to keep these schools going. So how has it come to be that now all of a sudden you need a new middle school? Is it because of growth?
Yeah, we're seeing that. So, Jeff, when we started to look at this possibility of a new building, obviously we had just opened our preschool to 5 building in 2019. Before building that in 2017, I should go back to, we did an enrollment projection, a study. And at that time, to determine the square footage and everything else as a part of that enrollment study, we took the highest projection in that study in 2017. And we based on
best case scenario kind of thing, right?
Best case scenario, and who could have ever foreseen the development and all the jobs and then the families that come with those with those jobs into our district. Things started to take off. So our downtown campus, as you know, has been redone.
Right.
We did an addition there, and we consolidated all those campuses into 2. We at one time, I think, had 6 or 7 different district buildings. And when we did that consolidation with the new construction and the energy that came
Right.
with it, the development started to fall behind. As
But
the mayor,
Lime City in 795 has become the new hub, has it
yeah,
not?
yeah. I mean, as the mayor spoke about, you can't have a great city without a great school district and vice versa. We started to see that. Well, everything continued to happen so well, and we said, we want to expand our opportunities for students, and that's when our multi-purpose building came in, which is now called the R.
Right.
That was another opportunity. We got into STEM programming, robotics, drone racing,
Right.
all of those things that appealed to students. So as that, we're starting to see that enrollment grow.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't realize it, I mean, we're talking major expansion. We've got a second Amazon facility that is being built right now in Rossford, where that just continues to fuel that tax base. We've got UPS, we've got FedEx, we've got all of these opportunities out there. All have helped. And of course, Neil, the next question before we go to our first break is, if you build it, they will come, but are all these people coming, and where are they going?
It's all in the planning, and I'm really blessed. I have absolute experts around me all the time, and it's all in the planning, and it's all in a partnership. And we're going to grow ourselves into prosperity. We're going to grow ourselves into the solution, and simultaneously improving our educational system and our economic development. That's the solution. It really is, because what that does is that retains and attracts talent, industry, investment, jobs, and families.
And the future of the region. Guys, we're going to take our first break. Stick around. We've got another segment here with Dan Creps and Neil MacKinnon right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back. They're both Rossford natives, and they are now leading the city and the schools respectively. Dan Creps and Neil MacKinnon joining us once again on Leading Edge. I went to break. I wanted to ask you specifically about, we talked about the new school being built, but there was also the other fact that there is a levy that is not going to increase and or decrease, correct?
Well, so
or it is going to decrease.
Correct. So the levy you're mentioning, we are on the ballot May 6th. That is operational, right? We're being very careful to make sure we communicate to our district people that in community members, those are two separate funding sources, right? The school building, which is amazing, those are bond dollars. We are not going back to, do not have to go back to the community for any additional dollars. This is an operating, a renewal. It was originally passed by voters in 2015. It was for 5.9 mils at that time. Your operating, of course, pays for your staffing and your programming for students.
Keeping the lights on, too.
Keeping the lights on, right. So this is a renewal, originally passed in 2015. Again, we looked at our financial situation. As we mentioned before, we work with financial consultant, Rockmill, and our treasurer's office, obviously. And we said, if we're in a really good place here, and we can afford to give some of that back to our taxpayers. And so after careful review, we decided, much like we did the previous 279s, we reduced another mill out of this operating. So that renewal is a reduced amount for 4.9 mils, which is going to save the average home owner in Rossford around $58, $59 a year.
What is your concern? We've talked to multiple school districts over the last couple of weeks with Governor DeWine's budget proposal. What is your concern as far as state dollars and those kind of being scaled back? Because some districts are to the tune of $2.5 million if you look at the 22 numbers.
Right. Those are obviously challenges we're very concerned about, and we're looking at those as well. In the same vein, but more so we're looking at how do we create opportunities? How are we going to shoulder or offset any of these potential losses or deficits that we may see? In our case, not a deficit, but loss in funding. Right? And so we know that that's an important part of the formula, if you will. But we are thinking, how do we continue to provide for our students? How do we offset, as one example? And this isn't tied to the Fair School funding formula, but when the ESSER funds were distributed, as one example, to school districts, and we were very grateful for those, but we knew those were one-time dollars. We really stayed away from personnel with those dollars and spent them in areas that we knew wouldn't have a long-term impact on us.
You mentioned right there while you were speaking, you said something about the education and the value of the education that we are offering. How has the education, what you are able to offer, changed for Rossford Schools, especially as you look to help this vision that Neil has in his office, trying to create this better region, right?
Heavy into technology. So even when we built, the elementary that opened in 2019 and the subsequent buildings, the R in our downtown campus opened in 2020, there was a heavy emphasis on technology. And then also...
And those were things that the Dan Creps 2012 would have never imagined coming to Rossford Schools.
No,
yes?
it was, I would consider it to be very primitive when I came in. There was an effort by our technology department to keep up the best they could. But again, with those facilities that we were working with, it was incredibly challenging and much more costly to institute any of those changes in the technology.
Are all kids benefiting from this technology?
So we shifted to a one-to-one. We were planning long-term. That became accelerated when the pandemic hit and the governor closed all of our schools. We accelerated that one-to-one technology, so all of our students now have a Chromebook or an iPad. The younger grades are the iPad for easier manipulation and use. So we shifted to that. Clever touch boards are in every classroom, which is kind of the ultimate, electronic board, if you will. So we did that. And then the programming we aimed at was, we got into robotics and drone racing, things that met student interests. I mean, our kids, the esports, we got into that. So we are always our counseling departments do a great job at surveying our students.
Being on the cutting edge as best as you can.
What are your interests? So we changed those electives to meet their interest levels.
And one thing we want to point out, this district incorporates parts of Perrysburg Township. And Neil, I'll let you finish up here in our last minute, but just working in partnerships with the people of Perrysburg Township, trying to make the district as strong as it can be for all of these families, which you said there are multiple housing projects which are in the works.
I feel a real connection to Perrysburg Township because growing up in Rossford and going to Rossford Schools, again, 2/3 of the Rossford School District is in Perrysburg Township. So the kids from Perrysburg Township were my classmates, my teammates, and my friends. So culture-wise, I think we really identify together because we all grew up together and went to school together, participated in extra curricular activities together. I almost see it as one community because that's the Rossford I grew up in.
Dan, where are enrollment projections right now?
We're at 1,700 currently right now, and in that deep dip we talked about in 2013, we were hovering, I think it was around 1,200 or 1,300.
Okay.
I had parents crying in my office who had kids who were long-time
Is that projection
attendants.
going out to 5 years from now, and is it going
It's going
sky?
farther out, and it's looking at, it's longer, we're beyond 5 years, but 7 to 10 years, you're looking at some significant growth, right?
Guys,
you're looking at those numbers.
I appreciate you spending time on Leading Edge. I'm going to make you frequent subscribers here to the show.
Thank you.
It's always good
appreciate you having
insight,
us
always
back.
good conversations. Neil,
We
good to
always
see you.
appreciate it. Good to see you.
We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We talked about this show being all about education and educating our young, and the state of education being at a crossroads. That's where we focus here. Rotary Club of Toledo, I should say, and Chicks for Charity hosting a summit to advance early childhood education in the region. The focus of the summit is on Northwest Ohio's future well-educated workforce. And that's what we want to talk to Debbie Monagan and John Jones about here this afternoon. It's so great to see you guys. We've got this event coming up on Monday. John, I got to talk to you because last week we talked a little bit about Hope Toledo and getting a $100,000 grant to kind of make it through the year from Lucas County Commissioners. How did we get to this point, and does that impact your, I guess, pitch going into this summit?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I would say, number one, we knew going into our process of Hope Toledo and building this out that once we received and were the recipients of federal dollars through both the county and the city to the tune of about $4 million, we knew those dollars were going to be used up in about 2 years. One, the ARPA process told you got to spend it, right? And two, we knew
Back to
back to
2021 dollars,
Yep,
right?
so we're talking 2021, 2022. That was when we first got access to those dollars. So we knew that this day was going to come. So it was not a surprise to anyone. So I think going into our event on Monday and what we're going to do is talk about why it's critically important and why we have to secure long-term sustainable funding that will help do this for more children for a longer period of time and ensure that they get access just like the last 1,000 kids over the last 3 school years have been able to.
Universal pre-K has been the buzz term that has been played out throughout the last couple of years. So is that what the Hope Toledo focus is going forward, to find these partners that can provide these outlets?
100%. And so I would even tweak that just a little bit. It's to continue cultivating the partners that we have and identify even more who can come into the process, because what we know is that there are already phenomenal child care partners and providers across the community. The other thing we know is that school districts up to this point cannot do full-blown preschool because they don't have the dollars from either the state or the Department of Ed or wherever those dollars come from to do early childhood education in a full extent way. They can do it through, like Toledo Public does it through Head Start, but most school districts don't have that. So
Debbie,
if we want to educate, it's important.
Let me ask you, where's the proof in the pudding as far as how important it is that these partners exist and that these kids are getting these opportunities early in life?
Well, we feel that it is a matter of economic development for our area. This community is not going to grow unless we educate our youngest children. They have to be.
So when you hear everybody, in fact, Neil talking, who was just on talking about jobs, 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 it goes before even that in your view.
It goes before that. I mean, you're talking about socialization, you're talking about being able to read and be kindergarten ready, pass your 3rd grade reading test. I mean, if we don't educate our kids, we're going to pay for it down the road.
There are a couple of statistics I wanted to throw out. In the U.S., about 33% of 4-year-olds are enrolled in public pre-kindergarten programs. However, access to high-quality pre-K varies widely state by state, region by region, and the quality is kind of the buzzword there. Do you have checks and balances for these partners?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So what we have put in place is, number one, understanding that standards already exist, right? So the state of Ohio has standards that exist, and what Hope Toledo did was worked with partners. So we didn't create something brand new on our own in a little vacuum. We actually work with these child care partners, and we work with even more across the entire region to say, how do we do this and how do we take it to the next level? So we have standards put in place, we do monitoring, and those centers already have some of those things put in place. We've just added some more things to it. So we come in and help them with classroom observations and other things like that to ensure that the curriculum is what it needs to be, that the teachers are meeting the standards that they should have, and then we come alongside and make sure that we're actually paying the teachers in our Hope classrooms just a little bit more, because that's a crucial component to the workforce.
I want to read something to both of you and just see if you think this is fair or not fair. It was in a Toledo Blade article earlier this week. According to Commissioner Lisa Sebecki, the county gives $2.6 million in funding each year to Hope Toledo, which intends to be a public-private partnership. Ms. Sebecki said businesses have talked about the benefits of universal pre-K programs, but the money has not followed. So there are all kinds of people out there who are saying, yeah, I support that, but it's just word, not necessarily deed.
Well, I'll tell you, for instance, Jeff, Chicks for Charity is an organization that existed from 2006 to 16. It went on a hiatus. We brought it back, and a group of chicks who were community disruptors said, this is so critical to our community. We want to share the wisdom with the rest of the community. So we're partnering with Rotary Club of Toledo to inform the community on the whys and wherefores and how critical this is to Toledo and Lucas County.
And just
but not only the wisdom, but also the dollars, correct?
Well, the dollars
That's the big part of it.
Yeah, the dollars hopefully will come if people truly understand what it means.
And
that's our hope.
And just to tweak that just a little bit, so I know Commissioner Sebecki said $2.6 million a year.
Yeah.
I do have to tweak that. The Lucas County Commissioners have afforded us the opportunity to get $2.6 million in total. And that has been over a 3-year period.
Gotcha.
And so I want to be real clear.
And is that more of those federal dollars that we're referring to?
So we got $1.5 million in federal dollars through the American Rescue Plan. And then for the past 4 years, we've gotten some TANF dollars, which is temporary assistance to needy families, to the tune of about $200 to $250 each year. So to be very clear, it's not $2.6 million per year.
Gotcha.
So I want to make sure we're clear on that, because of the fact that I don't want community to think that dollars are being squandered or anything like that. We have been very, very, very prudent and fiscally sound with the dollars we received, and we're grateful, like extremely grateful, that the county and the city would allocate dollars from the federal government to the work that we're doing. And it was designed to build out this demonstration so then we can come back and have a real conversation with our community, with voters, with others, to say this is how we have to sustain
And
this
those
for the long haul.
potential community partners, I want to point out to people, if we can put up the graphic real quick, investing in our community's economic future. Early childhood education is everything, happening at the Glass City Center Ballroom. That is Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, but the green you're talking is dollars and the potential investment in our community and in our youth.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Debbie, good to see you. Thank you
Good to
so
see you,
much,
Jeff.
John,
Thank you.
as always.
Always. It's
Appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after this. Always appreciate your time spent with us here on Leading Edge, and of course our guests joining us here today. If you like the energy, if you like the investigative things that we do here at WTOL, I invite you each and every week to join us for WTOL 11 News at 5, 6, and 11. My name's Jeff Smith. Great to have you with us each and every week. We'll see you next time here on Leading Edge.